Had somebody commented a few minutes ago that they thought I had too many projects going on. Can you imagine that? I don't think I've got nearly enough stuff going on. Anyway, my response was that, yeah, I do have too many projects going on, but there's also times like about the last week or so when everything has flowed real good. I've got a lot done on a lot of projects, so I'm pretty happy with that. So times like that, I think, no, I'm doing just fine. Anyway, grown up Quorn. So this is the bracket that mounts on the main column, on the vertical column, and this is going to be drilled all the way through for a squeeze bolt. Then we're going to split it, and I'm also going to dust off this portion right here just to give me a level surface to kind of index on. I've indexed this up in the mill, so it's basically by eye. Everything looks pretty good. I've squared up my vertical on this side. I've checked the cross dimensions on this. Looks pretty good, so this is where we're going to do it. The reason for doing this at this point is I need to turn the outer contours for the index points, and they're on the other side of the mill here. I'm sorry, we'll look at them when we're done. But they get turned to a dimension so that they can set down into this portion right here, and it'll sit in right here. So what I've done is I've turned a mandrel for it, which will be this mandrel for the lathe right here. I can set it back up in the lathe and turn our outer dimension, which is just going to dust off the points where the index marks go. There's one on each end. Plus I need to square up this end of the casting. This end was cast was squared up when I bored it in the mill. There's no critical dimension here, just so we've got a flat and got clearance for everything. We better get this turning a little bit faster than what that was. These dimensions here are all just kind of in the wind. There's nothing real important about any of them at this point in time. We're just working with a casting, so. I think I'll wait once this is, I thought about going ahead and cutting my shelf right here because we'll put a bolt in there that indexes up to that. I think I will wait to do that, just leave a flat here, drill it so I can just clamp it with a standard bolt, and then we'll, when we fit the actual bolts to it, we'll have to go back and machine this edge, which means we'll have to index it up again, but it will also give a little bit better fit. Got to get my air hook back up so I can use my power drawbar. Now we've got enough of a casting here that it's not an issue where this actually goes through. I think we can just center it up in this boss, and there'll be lots of clearance right about there. That looks pretty good right there. I think that'll be just right. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Open her on up to 3/8. Could have run a reamed hole for that, but I really don't see the need for it. It's not that precise. For the little bit of clamping force that it's going to get anyway, and the little bit of movement it needs, why, it's just not necessary. You want to work to the tolerances you need, but you don't need to work beyond those for a lot of things. Okay, so I need to split that. Now, I ended up and built an arbor for this. And it's this arbor right here. The reason being, I have a whole boatload of 7/8 arbors that I've collected over the years from different sources for on the Atlas milling machine. And I just wanted the extra versatility, and I've got a pretty good selection of these. Now, the downside to this is I'm not sure that, well, I don't believe they are. I don't know that I can cut all the way through. If this will not reach all the way through, around through this boss to cut clear to the inside, what I'll end up and do is I'll have to go to a 3/16 or 1/8 inch, I guess, is the next larger cutter I've got that I've got an arbor for that I'll have to slit that with. But if I can use a smaller slitting saw, that's what I'm going to do. So I've not even run this yet. I just finished turning this morning. So let's go through and see if it's even going to run true. And these are all used cutters that I've got. Not all of them, but the ones that I've got here in these thinner thicknesses are all smaller, or are all used cutters that I picked up usually off of Flea Bay or something like that. And the main reason for that is these are 7/8 arbors are a little bit harder to come by, or 7/8 arbored tooling. Find out if it'll even run true. Well, that doesn't suck. Right there's where we want to be. I think we'll run it right about there. So now I've not run this cutter either, so we'll see how this all works out. I'm going to machine a couple of wrench flats on this, but I already had this set up before I finished that, so we'll do that later today if everything else works out right. And that's not going to, because it's not going to run tight enough. We're going to have to go back and put a pin in it to lock it in place. And I did not do that, thinking that it would tighten down tight enough, but it's not going to. Anyway, let's make some adjustments and I'll bring you back. Alright, well, let's try this again. I just skimmed off the face of the step that I had for the cutter. I just left it a little bit too thick, so I think we'll be okay here. Let's find out. Well, that worked really well. I'm lacking about looks to be about 1/4 of an inch of cutting all the way through in the backside. We're going to split that with a hacksaw and then touch it up the inside edge with a file. I'm not going to recut that wider for that, but I take my time. I'm not in a big hurry on stuff like this. I don't know how it's really going to behave when I start cutting or anything. It could have been cut a whole lot faster than that, but this worked actually really, really well, and it's done. There's no misses, errors, anything along the way, and that came out really well. So it didn't spring close, doesn't look like it sprung open. It felt about the same as it was going out. Now there is that little bit still holding it, so it may change, but all in all, I think that's going to work really well. So let's pop this out of here and see what it looks like. Probably while I've got the setup this close, I'm going to flip it over before I break this all down. I'll get the saw out, change it over, I'll index up on this flat, and I'll machine the flat on the other side. Yeah, all in all, it looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and very quickly just split this the rest of the way with a hacksaw and see what it looks like. Slides right on our mandrel. We'll lock down there. We can, that'll work really good. Okay, let me find a bolt this all together, and we'll double check some things and see if we can't, actually, while I've got it here, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to machine this flat, and I'll straighten up that boss a little bit, and then we'll come back, bolt her together, and set it up in the lathe and see if we can't get this turned the rest of the way. I've already faced off this edge. We're sitting, and I've done my math. We've got this back out where we want. I think I'm going to not quite take it in one cut. We want to come out 1 3/8 off of center, and that's where we are. But I think we'll back this off just a little bit, so we leave just a little bit for a skim cut. Leave about 10 thousandths, and we'll see if we can take this all at once or not. And we may decide this is not enough to come off of here. We may cut it down a fair amount more. Actually, that looks pretty good. I think we'll do our final cut and leave it right there, assuming we get the same amount off of this one. And if that takes down enough to let us sit down into the pocket of the motor mount far enough. Well, let's start with that and see what that does for us here. Yeah, I think we'll leave that there too. Now, I'm going to see if I can't sneak this past and get it out of the way without changing my settings. Yeah, I think we got enough room there. Let me grab the motor mount. Now, I may have to pocket farther down into this motor mount too to get this to set the way it's supposed to. Yeah, see, to me that looks like we need to take those down a little bit, or else we may have to go and open up this radius in here. let's go ahead and take this down to where we've still got a boss, but it's not a, I'm not going to leave a very big boss. The only reason for those index marks is to adjust our height, and we index up off of our collar rings that go on here. So let's take another, let's see what that does for us here. We can take more than that off of there. Let's go to about, see what that does. Let's run with that, see what that does for us. Yeah, let's do that right there. Okay, we still got clearance all the way around there. Okay, we're going to leave those there. We can manually clean those up if we need to. Where are we at there? That's a... I think that might be pretty good right there.